Hello, hello, hello. It's Tasty Tuesday. I'm Amy Scott McLean. I am the host of this little cooking show. I am the owner of Wellness Wise, and I am your healthy weight coach. And today we are making spelt pancakes. And I want to tell you just how, I want to show you just how easy it is to make pancakes so that you don't have to buy a mix and that you can get away from processed foods. I say that all the time, right? Eat whole foods, mostly plants, and that is what we're going to do. So let's get started with the ingredients. I'm using a cup of spelt flour. You can use whole wheat flour, you can use gluten-free flour, you can even use, plain all-purpose flour, but that's a much more refined flour, so I want you to try to get away from that. I'm actually going to make these pancakes vegan today, so I'm using a plant-based milk. I'm using a cup of flax milk. I'm using the equivalent of 1 egg in a chia egg. I've told you before how to make this. It's a tablespoon of chia seeds and 2 tablespoons of water. You let it sit for about 5 minutes and it becomes gelled like an egg. And then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That's it. That's all you need to make pancakes. And these are so delicious. I make them just about every week. So here we go. So we've got a bowl. This is going to make about 8 pancakes. So all you do is mix it all together. A cup of flour, a cup of milk, chia egg. You could also use a flax egg, or you could use a whole egg if you're not wanting to do it vegan. You can also use regular milk if you don't want to use, if you're not wanting to use a plant-based milk. No problem at all. I make it that way all the time. And the baking powder. And then you just whisk it together. I probably could have used a bigger bowl, would have made it easier to whisk. All right, so spelt is an ancient grain that is very similar to wheat. It's actually a type of wheat. And it is loaded with fiber. So we know that's good for our digestion, it's good for our heart, and it's good for our waistline, right? You know, I've talked about fiber a lot. It has soluble and insoluble fiber in it, so it's so good for you. And just like that, we've got pancake mix, all made up. So let me get the skillet out and we'll cook them up. I'll be right back. While we're waiting for that to heat up, I want to tell you a little bit more about spelt. Because spelt is like a wheat, you have to be aware of the gluten. So if you have a gluten sensitivity, or if you have celiac disease, then you probably should stay away from spelt. It has a different type of gluten, but you shouldn't chance it. You just shouldn't chance it. Each different type of wheat has a little bit different protein structure in the gluten, and you should probably just stay away because there is gluten in spelt. Now, gluten is the protein that is in the wheat products. So just make sure that you're totally aware of that, because you want to avoid all gluten if you have celiac disease. And if you have a gluten sensitivity, which a gluten sensitivity can cause a stuffy nose, it can cause digestive bloating. So you will know if you have a gluten sensitivity. You won't be able to have wheat, so you therefore won't be able to have spelt. There are two other grains though too that you should avoid, which are rye and barley. So just so you know, if you have a gluten sensitivity, stay away from wheat, rye, and barley, and also spelt. Okay, so this is getting super hot, this skillet. And so I use a 1/4 cup scoop and just let them sit on the skillet until they start to, you notice that they start to get, cooked around the edges, and then I flip them. This recipe will make 8 pancakes. These are good and thick. If you like them runnier, you just need to add a little bit more milk. I like a small pancake. I don't like a really big pancake because they fit better on the plate, and you feel like you can have more. So that's why I use a 1/4 cup scoop. At most, I use a 1/3 of a cup scoop, but then they take longer to cook because they're a little bit thicker. All right, so we'll just let those sit for a little bit, and then we'll flip them. So I let these sit for about 1.5 to 2 minutes before I flip them. And I use a non-stick skillet, so I use a knife to hold them so they don't slip into each other. Woo! Appears I left these on just a little bit too long, so a minute to a minute and a half is better. And just like that, you have homemade pancakes. Minute to a minute and a half, because these are a little bit overcooked on one side. And for sure, your kids are not going to want them burned. So also be mindful of the temperature that you put your skillet at, because every skillet is different. I've got mine at about 350, and maybe I should have it down just a little bit. I do this every week. You'd think I'd know, but it seems that I've got mine up just a little bit higher than I should have. So with that, I hope you love this. I hope you see how easy it is to make homemade pancakes. And until next time, we'll see you later. Okay, so I've already said goodbye and I'm back again. This recipe actually makes 8 pancakes. So I want to show you the rest of the pancakes. I thinned it out a little bit. I thinned the batter out a little bit with a little bit more milk. And I want to show you some that aren't a little overcooked. I turned my skillet down just a little bit. I'm not sure it actually was above 350. So it was just a little too hot. So make sure that if you're using an electric skillet or even on the stove, that your skillet isn't too hot. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit for a minute and then I'm going to flip it. Okay, it's been a minute, so now we're gonna flip. Now it appears that I've turned it down just a little too much, and a minute and a half would have been perfect. So, homemade pancakes, so easy to make. You're using whole foods when you make your own pancakes, and they're super easy, so you can totally stay away from a mix. So until next time, we'll see you later.